What's up, guys? It is Sam here. We've got a new location here, but what we really wanted to talk about is the TikTok rankings for the Democratic candidates who are running for president. Why TikTok and why that's important, we're going to get into all of the details. But just to preview, the Generation Z is the largest users on TikTok, and they are also projected to have the largest turnout in terms of voter participation in 2020. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. You better be pressing that thumbs up button. It's your second time, bro. Come on. Okay, so let's dive right into it. This is from Media Kick with an X. This shows the App Store downloads for I'm assuming this is Google and iPhone. I'm not exactly sure. However, if we look here, the top 5 downloads in terms of the fourth quarter of 2018, so this data is a little bit old, but we're going to get into more current data in a moment. We can see that TikTok had more global downloads than YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Yeah. And TikTok has a lot of people that are in, if we come up here, if we come down here to point number 2, 2/3 of TikTok's users worldwide are under the age of 30. When you were like, well, this is the fucking America, right? Well, let's take a look at this. In the US, 60% of the app's monthly active users are 18 to 24. 60%. That's astonishing. That's absolutely crazy. So if you're trying to get in front of a specific demographic to tell your message, as in you're a candidate, you may potentially want to go where the fucking people are. So let's look at some more data. This is from Pew Research, and this, because one of the more common criticisms is that, like, oh, these are internet things, right? These are the places where people actually spend their time in 2020 that people don't realize, and they don't think that's going to translate into votes. But the voter participation in 2018 for the midterm election across racial and ethnic groups increased substantially, according to the data compiled by Pew Research. Also, if you take a look at, this is also from Pew Research, this is the, in 2020, 1 in 10 eligible voters will be members of Generation Z. Generation Z is the largest generation in the US, larger than baby boomers and larger than millennials, which are the next 2 largest generations. Gen Z is like 90 plus million. The other 2 are around 72 million. So you have 25% larger population, the most impressionable generation because they're the youngest and they haven't picked up all the garbage from all their friends and family members and co-workers around the other people's beliefs of the world. They haven't formed necessarily their own beliefs of the world. And so they're the most impressionable audience. They're the largest audience. And if we come over here to Pew Research, they're also projected to have the largest increase in voter participation in 2020. Let's just take a quick look here. Boomers, they're expected to have decline. Let's see, what is this? Millennials are expected to have about flat, maybe slightly decline. Gen X is going to have projected to have a decline. Silent and older, which is an interesting name for a generation, is going to have a big decline. But more than a doubling is Generation Z. Interesting, right? And that's probably one of the factors. Is I would think there's 2 main factors here. First is just the participation. You have to be 18 years old, right? So that's going to be one. Second is that today we live with this as a form of getting all of our information, at least I do. And most of Generation Z does the same thing. So this is where they get their information. And if you are trying to get in front of Generation Z, where are you going to go? To where Generation Z is. Let me give you the answer there. Instead of like going to someplace else where Generation Z is not, you probably want to spend time where the people are actually spending time. Like if you had a hot dog cart and you were going to go to one of 2 places, you could either go to Walmart in the back of the store where the trash compactor is behind the fucking building and set up your cart there, or you can go to the front of the store right between the 2 doors and set up your cart right there, assuming you are allowed to, right? Where do you think you're going to have more sales in the front of the store where people fucking actually are. So if you completely ignore where people are, TikTok, and you just completely ignore them, do you think you're going to have a good representation in that voting generation? No, clearly not. So now some really, to tie some more of this together from that first slide where we looked at the total downloads for Q4 of 2018, and they had more than YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. What I did is I went over to Google Trends. So I apologize, this is a little bit small here, but we can see here, this is Google Trends, so this is across the whole web, except for, remember, we're in the US, so we just looked at, the United States search terms. Anytime somebody searched for the term TikTok, Google tracked it, and then we get to see what's happening with this. So this is over the last 2 years, since January 1, 2018. We get to see that there's a trend here. So this is not exactly a linear trend, for those of you who don't know what that means. It just means straight. Looks like it's starting to be slightly exponential, which is kind of interesting. And it shows the growth in this. As we saw before, we saw that they had more downloads than the other ones, and that is also confirmed by Google, the #1 largest site in the planet. And if we look at the #2 largest site in the planet, YouTube.com, Google also owns YouTube, and we get to do the same thing. So we get to see the search volume for TikTok on YouTube, and let's compare that to Instagram and Facebook and see how that looks. And these are the results. These are the results. This is astonishing. If we take a look, blue here is TikTok, red is Instagram, and yellow is Facebook. So look at the most recent data here, and there was a crossover here back in September, and if we go back over here, we can see this is what happened here, right? I feel like YouTube is an early indicator, and Facebook is Google is a lagging indicator, and because this probably, at least from my experience and my research, it tends to be YouTube first and then translate into other areas. So on YouTube, we see that they have, this is crazy. For every 5 searches for TikTok, 1 search for Instagram. For every 10 searches, so every 10 times somebody searches for TikTok on YouTube, 1 search for Facebook. Think about that for a second. 10 to 1 and 5 to 1. Crazy numbers. So what I did is I compiled they don't give you a lot of analytics that you can see from the outside like what I can from these other accounts, but what I can do is rank them on like the number of views associated with their hashtag and some other data to see who is actually #1. Who is the Generation Z candidate, right? And I put it all into a spreadsheet, and the top 5 candidates are Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, and Andrew Yang. So I'm going to dive into the numbers right here, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. Now, if we talk about earlier, if you're trying to get your message out to the largest generation, the most impressionable generation, the generation that's projected to have the largest turnout in 2020, do you think it could potentially maybe be a good idea to fucking talk to this generation? Maybe? You let me know down below in the comment section. On your way down there, press that thumbs up button. Well, we have one candidate who's actually doing that. Bernie Sanders. And clearly you can see that he has been picking up steam because he's actually trying to talk to the largest generation in America, Generation Z. His hashtag on TikTok, which has video clips, they can go up to 60 seconds. So it's like 2 seconds up to 60 seconds. And you can put a compilation of pictures together and make that into a video. There's many different ways of doing things. But he is putting out content regularly and has he has 197 videos published, 19.6 million views. That's not just on his stuff, but that's on anybody who uses the hashtag Bernie Sanders. And then say if that person gets 4,700 views, that's included in there. So he's got 19.6 million views on there for his hashtag. And he is the only person who is actually trying. Meaning, again, if we go back to our hot dog example, Everybody else is actually inside of the fucking trash can behind Walmart. They're in the compressor. They're like, ooh, I wonder if I'll sell any hot dogs inside of the trash can, right? Maybe I can sell it to a fucking rat. And Bernie Sanders is like, everybody seems to be going in the front door of Walmart. I think I will sit in the front of Walmart and actually talk to people coming in. Everybody else is like inside the trash can. Hey, can anybody hear us in here? Well, they're not even doing that. They're just sitting there. They're not even trying to get people's attention. And as you can see here, this is who actually has a profile. So we have Tulsi Gabbard. She's the only one who's actually verified, I believe. Bernie may possibly be. I'm not sure how she got verified, but hers is verified, Tulsi, but she has 0 posts. Now, Andrew and Pete, 2 interesting people. Pete's, there's multiple profiles up there that just says Pete Buttigieg or Pete.Buttigieg. And I'm trying to filter through to see who the actual person is, because none of them really have a lot going on. There's one that's a supporter, but it says that in their profile, so I don't want to include that. But there's one profile that I found, and it says, like, I am running for president. There was another one that said, like, it made the verbiage made it sound like it was a supporter, not the actual person. So I didn't include that. But Pete has 6 videos posted, 24 followers, but he does have 3 million views. So people are interested in Pete. He's just not showing up, right? Imagine people being interested in you and you just don't show up. You don't actually be part of that conversation. That's what's happening. Another person is Joe Biden. He doesn't do anything. Well, I think we could all probably figure that out. But I wouldn't expect Joe Biden to actually be on TikTok. But he has 9.9 million views. These are people. These are, and this is not just Generation Z. There's plenty of millennials on there. I've got around 5 million views. Link in the description on my TikTok over the last 28 days. It took me a couple of years to get to 1 million views on YouTube. TikTok took me about 90 days or less to get there. And I'm going to be probably by the end of this week or end of next week, crossing over 15,000 followers, like the same as Bernie Sanders. And I'm not fucking running for president. So Joe Biden's not doing anything on there, but he has multiples more than anybody else. And I have a theory on that, is that Joe Biden's interest in terms of people using their hashtag and then viewing that content is associated with the mainstream media. They love to talk about Joe Biden because that's what these polls that come out, they have 500 fucking people that they report as actually representing what the collective of America actually thinks. I have this idea that I want to put together a website and actually be the establishment of, like, this is how we get data in 2020. So I'm working on putting that together. So thumbs up if you guys appreciate that, or share this message with somebody if you want to see this change. Like, what actually happens today is these national polls by, like, The Economist, CNN, ABC, Fox, like all these other names that, like, people know. I don't follow politics closely, so these names for national polling will put out a poll, and it'll have 379 people who responded. Yes, 379 people on a national fucking poll that then the media says, oh, hey, look, 379 people. This is representative of what the collective of America thinks. Use your fucking brain. I think you can figure that out. What we're doing is actually looking at the data. And I think that there's a potentially more thoughtful and intelligent way of approaching it in 2020. And that is what I'm trying to build here, so that we can actually take this and shape how we understand who the most interesting candidate is to the American public. So press that thumbs up button if you appreciate that, or share this video. If you guys want to support, there's links in the description. Andrew Yang, you're like, oh, okay, well, he has the second most number of videos. Cool, awesome. Last video was posted on October 5th. Yeah. Let's just skip Generation Z. I mean, it's only 90 million people, almost 1/3 of the fucking population. That's like everybody else on here. You're like, oh, I wonder why Bernie's winning. Because he's actually trying. Love to know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. Jump over to Instagram and say what's good, or Twitter, links down below. And I appreciate you guys. If you want to support this, there's a Patreon down below. I do upload the research to Patreon so that people can take a look at it. Once I have the website up, then I'll actually be able to put this data on a website so that people can play around with it, create graphs and whatnot. But I don't have that up yet, so currently it's just going to be on Patreon. So if you want to support the research or take a look at the data, you can go over there. There's links in the description. I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Don't forget to press that subscribe button.